All right, everybody, welcome back for another deep dive. A lot of folks out there have been thinking about direct booking websites for their short-term rentals. It's a tempting idea, right? Cutting out those big platforms and going solo.
Hmm.
But we got some expert insights here that might make you want to rethink that whole strategy.
Yeah, what I found really interesting in the source is that they don't just say direct booking is like bad. They actually break down why it doesn't really work for most people. They use a really good analogy to illustrate the point.
Oh, lay it on me.
They compare it to when you run a local marathon
Okay,
and you're expecting to beat Olympic athletes?
I see what you're getting at.
Yeah, just think about the massive marketing power that the big platforms like Airbnb and VRBO have.
Right.
They're all over the search results. Their websites are so slick and easy to use. Plus, they have millions and millions of dollars to spend on advertising.
So it's not just about having a good-looking website then.
Exactly. It's about SEO,
Yeah.
search engine optimization. It's all about getting your website to show up at the top of the results on Google.
Hmm. And let me tell you, those big platforms have entire teams dedicated to that.
So they've already kind of bought up all the best spots online.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
And they're always tweaking their algorithms to stay ahead of the game.
So what can a host do then? Is there any way a direct booking site can compete?
I mean, there are a few situations where it might make sense, but you're going up against some really big players.
Okay, so let's talk about those niche scenarios. Because I bet some folks listening are really hoping there's a way to make this work.
Sure. The source mentions a couple of exceptions, like bookings from your friends and family, or maybe repeat guests who are trying to save on fees. In those cases, a simple website can make booking easier and keep those personal connections going.
Right. So it's like having a little private portal for your inner circle.
Exactly.
And for people who come back again and again, it's a win-win.
Totally. They get a discount and you get to keep more of the money.
But if you're trying to get brand new guests, it sounds like just relying on a direct booking site is risky. Yeah. It's like trying to whisper over a loudspeaker. You might get a few people's attention, but you're going to get drowned out by the competition.
That's a good analogy.
Yeah.
So are you saying that design doesn't matter at all? I've seen some really beautiful direct booking websites.
Design definitely matters. A well-designed website makes a good first impression, and it's good for the user experience.
Okay.
But it's not going to make or break your bookings.
So the website itself is just a small part of the whole picture.
Yeah. Think about how people are actually finding your website. How are you promoting it? What makes you stand out from everyone else?
Okay, this is really making me rethink things.
Yeah.
I was all set to spend all my time making this amazing website,
Uh-huh.
but now I'm wondering if that's the right move.
And the source is pretty straight up about this. Don't waste your time building a website that no one's ever going to see.
Ouch. All right, well, I appreciate the honesty.
It's better to spend your energy on things that actually work right.
Okay. I think I'm starting to see the light here.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm not putting everything into a website, where should I be focusing my effort?
They say instead of trying to go head to head with these huge companies, it's better to use what they're good at to your advantage. They suggest focusing on your listings on those platforms, like Airbnb and VRBO.
Right. Makes sense. I mean, they already have tons of people looking at their sites, and they've got the whole system set up. Plus, they got the marketing muscle. It's like you're riding a wave instead of swimming against the current.
Exactly. It's like partnering with them to reach a wider audience. But this is where the real work comes in. You got to make your listings really stand out.
Okay, so how do you do that? How do you make a listing irresistible?
Well, you got to figure out what people are looking for and then show off your property in a way that speaks to them. It all starts with awesome pictures that capture the feel of your place.
Oh, yeah. I've totally clicked on listings just because the pictures look so good.
Right. Those high-quality photos make a huge difference. You're basically selling a visual experience. People want to see themselves relaxing in your space, enjoying the amenities, soaking up the atmosphere.
So I can't just snap a few pics on my phone.
Well, you could, but it might be worth it to hire a pro, or at least learn some photography basics yourself. Think about composition lighting and really showing off what makes your property special.
Okay, awesome photos. Check. What else?
Then there's your description. It needs to be catchy, informative, and accurate. And think about who you're trying to reach. What are they into? What kind of experience are they after?
So I should tailor the description to my ideal guest. Like if I'm here a hiking trail, I should mention that.
Exactly. And don't forget the basics. Number of bedrooms, bathrooms, amenities, house rules, anything that makes your place stand out.
It's like a little sales pitch for my property, highlighting all the best parts.
Right, but you gotta be honest. Don't overpromise. You want people to have a good experience that matches what they expected.
For sure. No one wants to show up and be disappointed.
And speaking of expectations, let's talk pricing. You gotta be competitive. You gotta do your research. Look at what similar places are charging in your area and go from there.
Find that sweet spot where it's good for guests and good for me.
Exactly. And remember things like the time of year, how much demand there is, and if there are any special events happening.
Okay, I'm getting it. It's not just about the website. It's about creating a whole experience that guests will love.
Absolutely. And here's another thing the source talks about, providing an amazing guest experience.
Okay, tell me more.
You're not just renting out a space, you're creating a memory. You want people to leave with a good feeling, talking about their stay and wanting to come back.
So I should go above and beyond to make them feel welcome and at home.
Exactly. It starts with the basics. A clean and well-maintained property, clear communication, and answering any questions they have. But it goes beyond that, too.
What kind of extras are we talking about?
Little things that make it personal, like a welcome basket with local goodies, a handwritten note with tips on things to do, or just being available to answer questions and give them insider advice.
Those are some great ideas.
Yeah.
Those little details really make a difference.
And you know what? Those great experiences lead to good reviews. And good reviews are gold in the short-term rental world.
You mentioned reviews before. Why are they so important?
Think about it. What's one of the first things you do when you're booking a place to stay?
I definitely check the reviews. I want to know what other people thought.
Exactly. Reviews build trust. People are way more likely to book a place with glowing reviews than one with no reviews or bad reviews.
So they're like free advertising. They can make or break a listing.
Absolutely. And they're especially important when you're on those big platforms. Good reviews help you stand out and get more bookings.
Okay, I'm seeing the whole picture now. Instead of trying to build my own website and compete with these huge companies, I should use their platforms and make amazing listings that get great reviews.
That's the takeaway. Work smarter, not harder.
This has been super helpful. I'm feeling way more confident about my whole approach to short-term rentals.
Good. And there's one more piece of the puzzle we haven't talked about yet.
Oh, really? Tell me more.
It's about the potential downsides of direct booking and why, in most cases, the risks are bigger than the rewards.
Okay, so what are some of the risks? What do hosts need to be aware of?
The source points out a couple of big ones. First, there's no guest vetting. When you book through a platform like Airbnb, they have ways to check people's IDs and look for any red flags.
So there's like a safety net there that I wouldn't have on my own website.
Exactly. With a direct booking site, you're taking a chance on every single booking.
Yeah.
You don't know who these people are, what their history is, or if they're even real.
That's a little scary. I wouldn't want to put my property at risk.
And then there's the money side of things. When you're taking payments through your website, you're on the hook for any chargebacks or disputes.
Chargebacks, what are those?
It's when someone disputes a charge on their credit card after they've stayed at your place. It could be for all sorts of reasons. Maybe they say they never stayed there, or that it wasn't as described, or even that someone stole their credit card.
Yikes. That sounds like a nightmare.
It can be, especially if you don't have the right systems in place to protect yourself. When you work with a platform like Airbnb, they have rules and procedures for dealing with that kind of stuff.
So they act as a middleman.
Yeah, exactly. They provide a level of protection that you wouldn't have on your own. And don't forget about insurance. Most platforms have some kind of insurance for hosts that covers things like damage or liability.
So there's a lot more risk if you go the direct booking route.
Definitely. And those are just a few of the potential problems. There's also the whole logistics side of things, like managing bookings, communicating with guests, and handling payments.
It sounds like a lot to handle, especially if you're new to this whole short-term rental thing.
The source is pretty clear about this. Don't underestimate how complicated direct booking can be. It can get out of hand really fast.
So before I go and build my own website, I need to really think about the pros and cons.
Absolutely. Don't get caught up in the idea of being independent without considering the downsides.
This has been a real eye-opener. I'm so glad we talked about this.
We're not done yet. There's one more thing we gotta discuss. The guru factor.
Oh yeah, the gurus. I've seen them online.
Be careful. The source says don't just blindly follow advice from these self-proclaimed experts. A lot of them are pushing direct booking as the be-all and end-all, often exaggerating how successful it is and downplaying the challenges.
So it's like buyer beware out
Yeah,
there.
exactly. Always think about their motivation. Are they really trying to help, or are they just trying to sell you something?
That's a good point. It's easy to get caught up in the excitement.
Do your research, be critical of what you're reading, and get different perspectives before you make any big decisions.
Good advice. I'm definitely going to be more careful about who I trust online.
Remember, there's no one right answer in the short-term rental world. What works for one person might not work for another. You got to find what works best for you, your property, and your goals.
So instead of blindly following the gurus, I should learn as much as I can and make my own decisions based on my research.
Exactly. Knowledge is power. The more you know about this industry, the better you'll be able to handle the challenges and make smart choices.
This deep dive has been a wild ride. I started out thinking direct booking was the way to go, but now I'm seeing it's not as simple as it seems.
Yeah, it's kind of like a shiny object that looks amazing from afar.
Right.
But when you get up close, you realize it might not be all it's cracked up to be.
So instead of pouring all our energy into a website that might get lost in the internet void,
Yeah,
we should be using those big platforms to our advantage.
right.
Hey.
Exactly. They've already built up this huge system that works. They've got millions of users and people trust them. Your job is to figure out how to make that work for you.
So we're talking amazing listings,
Yeah.
gorgeous pictures, compelling descriptions, competitive pricing,
Yeah.
and of course those 5-star reviews.
Exactly. You got to create an experience that goes above and beyond what guests expect. Remember, happy guests are more likely to come back, and they're the ones who leave those glowing reviews.
And those reviews bring in even more bookings. It's a win-win. But what about that personal touch that some hosts are looking for? I've heard people say that a direct booking site lets you connect with guests on a more personal level.
That's true. But even though OTAs have their own way of doing things, there's still room to show your personality in your listings and your communication. Think about writing a welcome message that reflects your style, or creating a guidebook with local recommendations that shows off your insider knowledge.
I like that. So it's about being creative and finding ways to stand out within the platform.
Right.
Okay, last question. What if someone's listening to this and they're still really set on building a direct booking site? What would you say to them?
I would ask them this. Instead of trying to beat the big guys at their own game, how can you use their strength to help you?
Interesting. So it doesn't have to be one or the other.
Not at all. Think about ways to connect your website to those platforms. Maybe use it as a portfolio to show off your properties, or start a blog to share your expertise and attract potential guests.
So use the website to build your brand and drive traffic back to your OTA listings. That's smart.
Exactly. And for those special cases like bookings from friends and family or loyal guests who keep coming back, a direct booking option can be a nice bonus. It helps you build those relationships and maybe save everyone some money on fees.
So it's all about being strategic and understanding how things work. Direct booking isn't always bad, but it's not some magical solution either. It's just one tool in your arsenal.
Well said. And remember, the world of short-term rentals is always changing. What works today might not work tomorrow. You got to stay informed, adapt to the changes, and keep improving your approach. That's the key to success.
This deep dive has been so eye-opening. I came in thinking one way, and now I have a much clearer picture of how direct booking websites actually work.
That's what we aim for here on the Deep Dive, to give you the knowledge and insights you need to make the best decisions for your business.
Now we want to hear from you. Have you ever thought about setting up a direct booking website? Do you have any success stories, or maybe some cautionary tales? Head over to our website or social media to share your thoughts.
We'd love to hear from you.
That's it for our deep dive into the world of direct booking websites. Until next time, happy hosting everyone in Vaisi.